Your morning coffee is only delivering half its potential. And what I'm about to reveal, the supplement industry genuinely wishes I'd keep this quiet because in 2023, researchers published findings that deserved headline coverage across every major outlet. But it was buried. They discovered that when you incorporate one specific powder into your coffee, something costing barely 50 cents, your body's blood sugar response shifts in ways that genuinely astonished even the seasoned scientists conducting the research. We're not discussing some mysterious exotic supplement sourced from deep within the Amazon rainforest. We're discussing something so elegantly simple, so remarkably affordable that pharmaceutical companies cannot patent it, cannot monetize it. And that's precisely why virtually nobody has heard about this. I'm going to walk you through 5 powders that elevate ordinary coffee into something extraordinarily powerful, ranked from impressive to absolutely life-changing. And here's what's remarkable. When researchers tested powder number 1, they had to repeat the experiment 3 times because they genuinely believed their equipment was malfunctioning. The results were that profound. But before we dive in, I need something from you. Comment below right now. How old are you and where are you watching from? Because what I'm about to share actually works differently depending on your age. And I want to ensure you're receiving the most relevant information for your unique situation. Now, let's begin with number 5. The one that most people dismiss as merely a dessert ingredient, but science reveals it's far more powerful than that. Number 5, raw cacao powder. And no, I'm not referring to that Nesquik chocolate powder you stirred into milk as a kid. I'm talking about raw, unprocessed cacao that contains more antioxidants than virtually any food on the entire planet. Here's what makes this fascinating for your coffee. When researchers at Cornell University investigated what happens when you combine cacao with coffee, they uncovered something truly unexpected. The compounds in cacao fundamentally alter how your body metabolizes caffeine. Instead of that familiar spike and crash you experience from coffee alone, you achieve what scientists describe as a sustained energy curve. We're talking consistent, focused energy that lasts 6 to 8 hours instead of the typical 2 to 3 hour buzz followed by that dreaded afternoon crash where you desperately need another cup just to survive. And the antioxidant content. Raw cacao boasts an ORC value. That's how scientists measure antioxidant activity of approximately 55,000 per 100 grams. Compare that to blueberries at roughly 4,300. It's not even a competition. But here's where it becomes truly compelling. The flavonoids in raw cacao, particularly one called epicatechin, can actually penetrate the blood-brain barrier. That means they travel directly into your brain tissue. And once there, they stimulate production of something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF as premium fertilizer for your brain cells. A study published in Nature Neuroscience, and I'll include all these references in the description, found that people who consumed approximately 20 grams of raw cacao daily for 12 weeks demonstrated improved memory test scores and showed increased blood flow to the hippocampus. That's your brain's command center for memory. Now, here's how to properly implement this. You want 1 to 2 tablespoons of raw organic cacao powder in your hot coffee. But, and this is absolutely critical, the water temperature needs to be below 170 degrees Fahrenheit. If it's too hot, you destroy the delicate compounds that make this effective. So, brew your coffee, let it cool for roughly 2 minutes, then add the cacao. Use a small whisk or milk frother to blend it thoroughly because it won't dissolve like instant cocoa. You'll experience this rich, slightly bitter chocolate coffee that honestly tastes phenomenal. Make sure you're purchasing raw organic cacao that hasn't been Dutch processed or alkalized. Those processes obliterate up to 90% of the beneficial compounds. You're essentially throwing your money away if you buy the wrong variety. The recommended dose is 15 to 20 grams daily. That's approximately 1.5 to 2 tablespoons. Start with just 1 teaspoon for the first week to let your body acclimate to the theobromine content, which is the gentle stimulant naturally present in cacao. Number 4, Ceylon cinnamon. And this is where things start getting genuinely serious, because we're now discussing something that can actually influence your metabolic health in clinically measurable ways. A 2020 meta-analysis That's where researchers combined data from multiple studies, reviewed information from over 1,500 people with type 2 diabetes and prediabetes. When they consumed approximately 1 gram of cinnamon daily, that's roughly half a teaspoon, their fasting blood glucose levels decreased by an average of 10 to 11 milligrams per deciliter. Now, that might not sound earth-shattering if you don't monitor blood sugar, but for someone navigating diabetes or prediabetes, that's clinically meaningful. Some participants also experienced improvements in their hemoglobin A1C, which reflects your average blood sugar over 3 months. But here's the critical detail that most people get dangerously wrong, and this could actually be harmful if you're not aware. Most cinnamon sold in stores is cassia cinnamon. Cassia contains elevated levels of a compound called coumarin, and coumarin can be toxic to your liver in substantial doses. We're talking potential liver damage if you consume more than roughly half a teaspoon of cassia cinnamon daily over extended periods. This isn't fear-mongering. This is thoroughly documented in medical literature. Ceylon cinnamon, sometimes called true cinnamon, contains up to 1,200 times less coumarin than cassia. That's precisely why it's safer for daily use at therapeutic doses. How do you distinguish between them? Ceylon cinnamon typically originates from Sri Lanka. The label should explicitly say Ceylon or Cinnamomum. It has a lighter tan color compared to the reddish-brown of cassia, and it costs more. Typically $8 to $15 for a small container versus $3 to $5 for cassia. Here's what makes adding it to coffee specifically powerful. Coffee itself has been demonstrated in multiple studies to be associated with reduced risk of type 2 diabetes. A 2024 study analyzing data from 15,000 coffee drinkers found that those who consumed 3 to 5 cups daily had up to 30% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to non-coffee drinkers. So you're strategically combining two things that independently show benefits for metabolic health. The polyphenol in coffee actually enhance the bioavailability of cinnamon's active compounds. Researchers documented up to 300% better absorption compared to taking cinnamon supplements alone. How to use it optimally? Add a quarter to half teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon powder directly to your coffee grounds before brewing. This allows the hot water to extract compounds that wouldn't dissolve if you simply stirred it into already brewed coffee. If you're using a French press or pour-over method, this works beautifully. For drip coffee makers, you can create a cinnamon concentrate by simmering 1 teaspoon in 8 ounces of water for 10 minutes, straining it, then incorporating it into your regular coffee. Timing matters significantly. Research shows that having cinnamon coffee 15 to 20 minutes before your first meal maximizes its blood sugar stabilizing effects. It can meaningfully reduce your glucose response to breakfast. One more essential warning. If you're taking any medications, especially blood thinners like warfarin or diabetes medications, you absolutely must consult your doctor before adding therapeutic amounts of cinnamon to your routine. It can interact with these medications. Number 3, lion's mane mushroom powder. And this is where we venture into territory that sounds almost unbelievably promising, but the research exists. Published in peer-reviewed journals, Japanese researchers conducted a study with older adults who had mild cognitive impairment. They administered lion's mane mushroom powder daily for 16 weeks. The cognitive function improvements they documented were measurable on standardized tests. But here's what truly excited researchers. Brain scans revealed what appeared to be regeneration in areas of the brain typically compromised by aging. Now, we need to be precise with language here. The brain is complex, and regeneration doesn't mean growing entirely new brain tissue. But what they observed was increased activity and connectivity in regions that normally deteriorate with age. Lion's mane contains compounds called hericenones and irenicines. These are small enough to cross the blood-brain barrier and appear to stimulate production of nerve growth factor. That's a protein that supports the growth and survival of neurons. When you combine lion's mane with coffee, the caffeine increases blood flow to your brain by up to 30%. This enhanced blood flow may improve absorption of these neurotrophic compounds, creating what researchers describe as a neuroplasticity window. That's a state where your brain becomes more receptive to forming new neural connections. A study from Malaysia discovered that compounds in lions' manes stimulate production of myelin, the protective coating around nerves. Myelin typically degrades with age, leading to slower thinking and diminished memory. Participants who took lion's mane for 6 months demonstrated improvements in nerve function. Now, here's the important reality check. A 2025 systematic review of human clinical trials revealed mixed results. Some studies showed cognitive improvements. Others showed no significant effect. The quality of the lion's mane extract matters tremendously. The dosage matters. The duration matters. This isn't a magic pill that will instantly make you brilliant. But the preliminary evidence suggests potential benefits for supporting brain health as we age, particularly when utilized consistently over months. The preparation method is absolutely crucial. You need dual-extracted lion's mane powder. That means it's been processed with both hot water and alcohol to extract both water-soluble and fat-soluble compounds. Using just regular dried mushroom powder gives you maybe 10% of the active ingredients. Add 1 to 2 teaspoons of dual-extracted lion's mane powder to your coffee after brewing when it's cooled to approximately 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Higher temperatures can denature some of the delicate compounds. The powder has a slightly sweet, savory flavor. Many people describe it as reminiscent of umami, which actually complements coffee's natural bitterness. Some people actually prefer this to regular coffee once they've adapted to it. For potential cognitive benefits, research suggests consuming lion's mane coffee in the morning on an empty stomach. Effects may peak approximately 90 minutes after consumption. The optimal dose based on clinical trials is 2 to 3 grams of extract daily. That's roughly 1 to 1.5 teaspoons. Most people report noticing improved mental clarity within 7 to 14 days, though significant effects typically require 4 to 6 weeks of consistent use. Quality matters enormously here. Look for organic lion's mane powder that specifies it contains at least 30% polysaccharides and 15% beta-glucans. These are the primary active compounds. Avoid products that don't disclose their extraction method or compound percentages. Some people experience what researchers describe as an awakening period in the first week. You might feel slightly spacey or have vivid dreams as your brain recalibrates. This typically passes quickly. Number 2, creatine monohydrate. And if you just thought, wait, isn't that exclusively for bodybuilders? You're about to have your perspective completely transformed. Here's what astonished researchers. A study from the University of Sydney gave vegetarians 5 grams of creatine daily for 6 weeks, not for muscle building, for brain function. The results, improvements in working memory and measurable cognitive enhancements. Now, these weren't the dramatic numbers you might have encountered elsewhere. We're talking about meaningful but modest improvements. The key finding was that creatine supplementation helped particularly in people whose diets were naturally low in creatine to begin with. Your brain consumes 20% of your body's total energy despite being only 2% of your body weight. Creatine is the rapid energy currency your neurons use to fire properly, think clearly, and consolidate memories. When you add creatine to coffee, something remarkable happens. The caffeine increases cerebral blood flow, which may enhance creatine uptake into brain tissue. Meanwhile, the creatine helps maintain steady ATP levels. That's your cellular energy molecule, potentially reducing the energy crash people sometimes experience from caffeine alone. A 10-year observational study following adults over age 60 found associations between creatine intake and various positive health markers. Now, association doesn't prove causation, but the data suggested that people with higher creatine levels maintained stronger cognitive function as they aged. The science behind it is robust. Creatine acts as a cellular buffer system, helping to quickly replenish ATP. It also appears to protect brain cells from oxidative stress. Research suggests it may support the mitochondria in brain cells, which are essentially the power plants of your neurons. Here's something most people don't realize. Creatine supplementation has been studied for its effects on mood. Some research suggests it may help support emotional resilience, particularly when brain energy metabolism is compromised. The mechanism appears to involve energizing mitochondria in brain cells. Now, let's discuss how to actually implement this. Creatine monohydrate doesn't dissolve well in liquid. You'll need to stir it vigorously into hot coffee where it suspends better than in cold liquids. Add 5 grams, that's about 1 level teaspoon, to your morning coffee. Pro tip, add it to coffee that contains a splash of milk or cream. The fat content may facilitate absorption and masks the slightly gritty texture. Unlike supplements you feel immediately, creatine works through saturation. You need to take it daily for approximately 3 to 4 weeks to fully saturate your muscle and brain tissue. After that, you maintain those levels with daily dosing. Most people report experiencing improved mental endurance and reduced brain fog after roughly 7 to 10 days, with full potential benefits appearing after 3 to 4 weeks of consistent use. Some people do a loading phase of 20 grams daily divided into 4 doses for the first week to saturate faster. But research demonstrates this isn't necessary. It can cause temporary water retention and digestive discomfort. Better to simply use 5 grams daily from the start. Quality matters significantly here. Look for Crepure, a German-manufactured creatine monohydrate that's rigorously tested for purity. Cheaper versions can contain contaminants that cause stomach issues and persistent headaches. One important note, you'll likely gain 2 to 4 pounds in the first 2 weeks. But this isn't fat. It's water being pulled into your muscle cells along with the creatine, which actually improves cellular hydration and function. The safety profile is exceptionally well established. Studies following people taking creatine daily for years show no negative effects on kidney function in healthy individuals. If you have existing kidney disease, consult your doctor first. Now, prepare yourself because number 1 is the powder that might actually add years to your life. And the research supporting it is absolutely captivating. Number 1, glycine powder. And this is where everything I've shared with you so far gets placed into proper perspective because glycine might be the most transformative addition you can make to your coffee. Scientists studying aging made a breakthrough discovery about glycine that fundamentally changed how we think about longevity. When they gave older adults glycine supplementation, multiple biomarkers of aging showed meaningful improvement. Sleep quality increased substantially. Markers of inflammation decreased, and cells showed signs of enhanced function. Glycine is the smallest amino acid that exists. So small it can penetrate virtually every tissue in your body. Your body can manufacture some glycine, but research suggests we're deficient by a significant amount based on what our ancestors consumed when they ate nose to tail, getting glycine from bone broths, organ meats, and collagen-rich cuts that we rarely consume today. When you add glycine to your morning coffee, you're providing your body a building block it desperately needs for over 100 critical processes. From building glutathione, your master antioxidant, to creating creatine naturally in your body, to triggering autophagy, where your cells clean out damaged proteins and regenerate. An 8-year observational study in Japan followed adults and found that those with higher glycine intake experienced significantly better health outcomes. The researchers suggested that optimal glycine consumption could meaningfully support health span. The mechanism is fascinating. Glycine activates specific receptors throughout your body that trigger a cascade of beneficial effects. Research demonstrates it supports mitochondrial function. Those are your cellular power plants. It enhances methylation, the process by which your body maintains and repairs DNA. And it supports healthy growth hormone levels. Research from Harvard Medical School discovered that glycine supplementation improved vascular function. Participants demonstrated arterial flexibility improvements after 12 weeks of supplementation. Better arterial flexibility is strongly associated with cardiovascular health. But here's what makes glycine in morning coffee truly unique. It creates a dual effect. It provides calm mental clarity without sedation. It works through specific receptors in your brain to enhance focus and learning while simultaneously reducing anxiety and the jittery effects some people experience from caffeine alone. A study from the Sleep Research Society found that people who took 3 grams of glycine before bed showed improvements in sleep quality. They experienced more deep sleep, the restorative phase where your brain clears out proteins that accumulate throughout the day, and they woke up feeling significantly more refreshed despite getting the same hours of sleep. The collagen production benefits are equally compelling. Glycine makes up approximately 33% of collagen. Studies show that supplementing with glycine supports collagen synthesis, with visible improvements in skin elasticity and joint flexibility that typically decline with age. For your morning coffee, add 3 to 5 grams of glycine powder. That's approximately 1 teaspoon, directly to your hot coffee. It dissolves instantly and completely. And here's something delightful. Glycine is the only amino acid that actually tastes sweet rather than bitter or savory. So it adds subtle sweetness without any sugar or calories. The timing strategy here is important. Take 3 to 5 grams in your morning coffee for sustained energy and mental clarity. Many people also take another 5 grams in the evening, either in decaf coffee or tea, for the sleep and recovery benefits. Glycine produces different effects depending on when you take it due to how it interacts with your circadian rhythm. Quality is refreshingly straightforward. Pure glycine powder is just that, pure glycine. Look for pharmaceutical grade or USP grade powder that's been tested for heavy metals and contaminants. Avoid products with fillers, flavors, or other amino acids mixed in. Start with 3 grams for the first week to assess tolerance, though glycine is remarkably safe. Studies have used up to 60 grams daily without adverse effects, then increased to 10 grams daily, divided between morning and evening for optimal benefits. Most people notice improved sleep quality within 3 days, better skin, and reduced joint discomfort within 2 weeks. The deeper effects like improved recovery, enhanced mental clarity, and increased energy typically become apparent after 4 to 6 weeks of consistent use. The synergy with coffee is particularly powerful. Coffee consumption is already associated with longevity in research. Glycine appears to amplify coffee's beneficial effects while mitigating some of its potential downsides like anxiety and sleep disruption for sensitive individuals. Research from the University of California demonstrated that glycine combined with coffee created a metabolic state where fat oxidation increased while muscle protein synthesis improved, essentially placing your body in an optimal state for both energy production and tissue repair. Your morning coffee will never be the same. You now have 5 scientifically supported additions that can transform an ordinary cup into something that supports your brain health, blood sugar, longevity, and overall metabolic function. Starting tomorrow morning, you can begin with just 1 powder. Ceylon cinnamon if blood sugar is your priority. Glycine if you want the broadest spectrum of benefits. Lion's mane if brain health is your primary focus, or combine them as your body adapts. Now, here's what's fascinating. The combined effects of these powders together may create synergies that researchers are only beginning to understand. Preliminary data suggests that people who use multiple compounds together experience benefits beyond what you'd expect from simply adding up their individual effects. But I want to hear from you. Have you tried any of these in your coffee? What worked? What didn't? Drop a comment below and let me know your experience. If this information transformed how you think about your morning routine, hit that subscribe button because next week I'm revealing the one morning ritual that combines coffee, specific foods, and a timing strategy that researchers found optimizes metabolic health for people over 50. It's based on a 2024 study that tracked thousands of people and discovered one specific eating pattern in the morning was associated with significantly better health outcomes. And it's probably the opposite of what you've been told about breakfast. That video drops next week. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Until then, optimize that coffee. Your body will thank you.